Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Glad to see you. Glad you could make it. Um, Hopefully we'll get you here and you can get a nice blessing for today and as we study the book of John. And right now we're up to chapter 18, which is the first chapter after the great prayer. But if you've never been born again, let's just stop right there for a second. Because for any of the promises of God to apply to you, the rewards or anything, you must be born again, including the heaven. You must be born again. But maybe this video we did before will help you out with this. So I'm going to post a link to this Welcome Everyone video. And if you've never seen it, please go over there and check that out first. And that would be just great. And just if you have any questions about it, just ask us and we'll get with you on your questions. All right, John 18, verse 1. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the brook Kedron, where was a garden into which he had entered, and his disciples. And Judas also, which betrayed him, knew the place, for Jesus oftentimes resorted thither with his disciples. Judas then, having received a band of men and officers from the chief of priests and Pharisees, cometh thither with lanterns and torches and weapons. Jesus, therefore, knowing all things that should come upon him, went forth, and he said, Whom seek ye? And they answered him, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus saith unto them, I am he. And Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with them. As soon then as he had said unto them, I am he, they went backward and fell to the ground. Okay, I checked this out. This is the only one of the four Gospels where soldiers fall down, or where it tells about it. I was a little surprised that not that people don't make more of a big deal out of it. Maybe it's because they don't know what to say about it, or not as noteworthy as I think it is. But no matter what they give for the reason of this, it comes down to the fact that Jesus has divine power that either pushed them or caused them to cower in fear. So I just think it's noteworthy. And so does the book of John. Okay, verse 7. Then asked he them again, Whom seek ye? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus answered, I have told you that I am he. If therefore ye seek me, let these go their way, that the saying might be fulfilled which he spake, of them which thou gavest me have I lost none. Okay, this refers to the last chapter where Jesus prayed none of the disciples would be apprehended. So let them go their way. He's lost none. Then verse 10, then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Then said Jesus to Peter, Put up thy sword into this sheath. The cup of which my Father hath given me, shall I not drink it? So I'll paraphrase that from the King James to Watchman Den. Jesus tells Peter that this was all lined up by God for the good of all mankind. So why should anybody use violence to stop it? Verse 12, then the band And the captain and officers of the Jews took Jesus and bound him, and led him away to Annas first, for he was father-in-law to Caiaphas, which was the high priest that same year. Now Caiaphas was he which gave counsel to the Jews that it was expedient that one man should die for the people. He said that back in chapter 11, verse 51. And that was on our video 11C, chapter 11, part C. Verse 15, and Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did another disciple. That disciple was known unto the high priest, and went in with Jesus into the palace of the high priest. But Jesus stood at the door without. Then went out that other disciple, which was known unto the high priest, and spake unto her that kept the door, and brought in Peter. Then saith the damsel that kept the door unto Peter, art not thou also one of this man's disciples? He saith, I am not. And the servants and officers stood there, who had made a fire of coals, for it was cold, and they warmed themselves. And Peter stood with them and warmed himself. And the high priest then asked Jesus of his disciples and of his doctrine. Jesus answered him, I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue, and in the temple, whither the Jews always resort, and in secret have I said nothing. Why askest thou me? Ask them which heard me. What have I said unto them? Behold, they know what I said. And Jesus, when he had thus spoken, one of the officers which stood by struck Jesus with the palm of his hand, saying, Answerest thou the high priest so? Jesus answered him, If I have spoken evil, bear witness of the evil. But if well, why smitest thou me? Now Annas sent him bound unto Caiaphas the high priest. And Simon Peter stood and warmed himself. They said therefore unto him, Art thou also one of his disciples? He denied it and said, I am not. So one of the servants of the high priest, being his kinsman, whose ear Peter cut off, saith, Did I not see in the garden with him? Peter then denied again, and immediately the cock crew. So remember that. He'll betray him 3 times before the cock crows. So they highly suspected that Peter was one of Jesus' disciples. But on Peter's denial, they just drop it. But don't forget that Peter also lopped that guard's ear off, and nothing happened with that either. So Jesus' prayer was answered that nothing happened to the disciples, even though Peter's behaving very badly. So they could, and the prayer was answered so they could accomplish their ministry. In verse 28, then led they Jesus from Caiaphas into the hall of judgment. And it was early, and they themselves went not into the judgment hall, lest they should be defiled, but that they might eat the Passover. So that's another thing related to the law, about going in there and then going to Passover. Nobody could follow all of it. No one. The Old Testament shows how. And it's a picture of how man has a pattern of sin and will fall short of God's standards because nobody's following all the law. And that because of the picture, also shows that is why we all need Jesus. No man could write the Bible. It's just amazing how it works together. It doesn't contradict. And then the more you dig into it, the more things are interrelated. And it's just so amazing. And then that's not even counting the prophecies that say, well, this is going to happen. And then it does. You know, I mean, how can you not have faith in the Word of God if you just look at it? Or like I'm always saying, you hear me say, pick up a Bible. Yeah, it's just so obvious. All right, let's hold up there and finish chapter 18 the next time when Jesus goes on trial or we meet in the air. May God bless you, my dearly beloved.